over the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few pitchers I'd look to drop this week. The first guy, Anthony DeSclafani of the San Francisco Giants. So DeSclafani last season, pretty decent with the San Francisco Giants. But this season, with injuries and poor performances, he's a guy I wouldn't recommend to have on your fantasy team right now. On the season, only 19 innings, 2-1 record, 35 hits, 21 earned runs, 4 walks, 17 strikeouts, a 9.95 ERA, and a 2.05 whip on the season here for DeSclafani. So the last 2 outings, he's been a total train wreck since he returned here for the San Francisco Giant team. Just getting racked up, and a guy you really shouldn't have on your roster anymore. I'm surprised he's still owned in 38% of fantasy leagues here is DeSclafani. He's not going out there, not going deep into games, and he's been hit like a piñata over the last few games. June 21st at Atlanta, 3 innings in that one, no decision, 6 hits, 5 runs, a walk, 3 Ks in that one. And June 26th versus a poor Red offense, he got lit up 2 2/3, got the loss. 7 hits, 7 runs, a walk, and a strikeout. So right now, no reason to hold on to him. I know he's on a pretty solid team over there in San Francisco, but he's not performing, and I doubt this season you're going to get much out of him with the injuries and just the bad performances. So he's an easy drop this week. The next guy, Kyle Gibson of the Philadelphia Phillies. I mentioned a few weeks ago Gibson was a guy to drop in fantasy leagues, and once again, he's been hit or miss this season. 80 innings, 4-3 record, 78 hits, 40 earned runs, 23 walks, 68 strikeouts. He does have 7 quality starts on the season, but a 4.48 ERA and a 1.26 whip. So right here is Philadelphia Philly team in third place right now in the National League East here. And it's a tough division this season. The Mets are playing great baseball, 19 games over 500, and the Braves have been red hot over the last few weeks as well here. So right now with Bryce Harper out, that's a big hit for the Phillies and a big hit for run support as well for Kyle Gibson. And right now he's still owned in 48% of fantasy leagues, and he's been a mixed bag of results over the last month. June 15th versus Miami, 8 innings, no decision, 7 hits, a run in that one, 6 strikeouts, and a quality start. June 21st at the Rangers, his former team, 6 1/3, got the loss, 7 hits, 3 runs, 4 Ks, a quality start. And then June 26th, San Diego, he got bombed 2 2/3 in that one, 4 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks. So right now, he's a pitcher that's inconsistent. The only thing I'll give him is he's definitely an innings eater here, is Kyle Gibson. But besides that, he's going to be shaky. And he's going to be a guy for the rest of the season here where his ERA's mid-4s to maybe 5. So I would drop him this week. The next, Andrew Heaney of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Heaney, he's got off to a good start this season. But the thing is, once again, injuries have plagued him on and off throughout his career, is the lefty for the Dodgers. On the season, I know only 15 1/3, 1-0 record, 9 hits, an earned run, 4 walks, 23 strikeouts, 0.359 ERA, and an 0.85 whip. So right here, great numbers. I know small sample size. And now he's on the injured list once again with the shoulder injury here in his throwing shoulder, the inflammation. So he's going to be out a while. They'll probably shut him down at least for a month here, Heaney. And there's no reason to hold him onto your fantasy team. At this point, it's pretty much a lost season. And I think the earliest we could see him come back is probably early August here, where most of the fantasy baseball season is pretty much done by then. Right now, he's still on 62% of fantasy leagues here, is Heaney. And he came back for one start June 19th versus Cleveland before he got hurt. 5 innings in that one, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 7 strikeouts. So right here, he was off to the good start on a great team, no doubt about it, the Dodgers, who I think could get to the World Series once again this season. But right now, it's just not in the cards for Andrew Heaney. He's been injured, he's been banged up, and he's not going out there and performing. And it's not like he's been a great starting pitcher for seasons here. So right now, I think he's an easy drop this week, especially owned in way too many fantasy leagues at 62%. The next guy, Taijuan Mcgill of the New York Mets. I mentioned him last week as a drop, but he's still owned in 41% of fantasy leagues, and I've transferred him to the 60-day injured list here. So obviously he's going to be out at least till mid-August, is Taijuan Mcgill, with the shoulder inflammation as well for him on the season. The first few weeks he got off to a monster start, including the opening day starter for the Mets. But after that, he came back down to earth were his numbers. After last season, same thing. He got off to the great start. And then second half of his starts last year had an ERA over 6. So on the season, 41 in the third, 4-2 record, 39 hits, 23 earned runs, 11 walks, 47 strikeouts, only one quality start on the season here for Mcgill. And he had a 5.01 ERA and a 1.21 whip. So even without the injury, he was a guy I would recommend to drop. But I just don't get fantasy teams stashing this guy where he's out at least another month and a half to mid-August. We're going on the injured list. In the last few outings before he got hurt, June 10th at the Angels, he only went 3 in the third, 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts. And June 16th versus the Brewers, 3 in the third in that one, 4 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 6 Ks. So he wasn't going deep into games. He's only a 5-inning pitcher. And now with the injury here, there's no reason he should be owned in maybe more than 20% of fantasy leagues. And the fifth and final pitcher I look to drop this week, Steven Strasburg of the Washington Nationals. So Strasburg, another guy I mentioned last week, is a drop, and he's still owned in way too many fantasy leagues, in my opinion, as well, at 46%. So on the season, he only had 1 ball game, 4 2/3, got the loss, 8 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks in that one for Strasburg, in 5.7 ERA and a 1.38 whip. So right now, he have the TOS once again here, Strasburg, where obviously most pitchers don't come back the first time from it, which he did luckily, but now the second time definitely could put his career in jeopardy here, Strasburg. So the last few seasons, very injury-plagued. Last season in 2021, Strasburg, once again, he didn't pitch much that year either, only 21 2/3. So the last 2 seasons, he's done nothing. And right now, who knows if his career will continue or he'll ever be the same again. Just injury-prone for Strasburg on a bad team in Washington who blew it up in rebuild. And right now, there's no reason to hold on to him and keep a league, dynasty leagues, and obviously redraft leagues. So that's a few pitchers I look to drop here for Week 12 of the fantasy baseball season.